Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Alistair McConnachie from campaign group and think tank A Force for Good. I want to speak about how the Open Borders Brigade on the other side of the street uses the rhetoric of quote-unquote diversity in order to excuse their dangerous policies. For example, we have a First Minister, John Swinney, who hides behind the rhetoric of quote-unquote diversity because when it comes to mass immigration and fraudulent asylum seeking, he's got nothing else to say. For example, last week he released 2 videos extolling the virtues of quote-unquote diversity and quote-unquote hope as a counter to those of us, presumably on this side of the square, who seek an end to mass immigration and fraudulent asylum seeking. He does this because he wants to hide behind this rhetoric about diversity and hope to distract us from the massive population changes which he and the SNP are enabling and promoting in Scotland right now. For example, figures released by the National Records of Scotland in August record that 90,700 long-term legal immigrants, that's legal immigrants from outside the UK, equivalent to a population larger than Paisley, Scotland's 5th most populous town, came in during the 22 to 23 year. That's more people than the entire population of Falkirk, Grangemouth, Bowness, Larbert and Stenhousemuir put together. The provisional figure for 2023-2024 was 76,000 long-term legal immigrants, which will almost certainly increase when revised figures are released next year. That's a town of legal immigrants into Scotland last year, twice the size of Falkirk and around the size of East Kilbride. Now these are huge numbers, which obviously put a strain on housing. They raise rents, they lengthen waiting lists, they increase congestion, they strain public services, they suppress incomes, and especially they increase job competition amongst young Scots. And yes, in some cases, they can endanger us physically. So what is Swinney's response? In his efforts to distract us and excuse these facts, he uses the word diversity as if it's automatically a good thing in itself. He's telling us, don't worry about any of the bad things that might come from this mass immigration. It's diverse, so it must be a good thing. Well, we don't accept that because something is diverse, that it means it's automatically a good thing, because diversity can be double-edged. Diversity can also be a danger. Well, as for hope, will he stand up for those of us who hope to seriously restrict this massive movement of humanity into Scotland? Will he stand up for those of us who hope to see an end to fraudulent asylum seeking? Is that the hope that he supports? If not, does he have anything useful to say about controlling this deluge of people into Scotland? Is he capable of addressing its negative consequences, or can he only offer a constant stream of dangerous, irresponsible blether? It seems he's got nothing to say. All he's got to say is, quote-unquote, refugees welcome, which I've heard 1 or 2 people on the other side saying this morning. But here's the thing about that. It's a completely irresponsible position to adopt. And I hope you're not going away, because I'm talking to you guys. Because literally, there are tens of millions of asylum seekers in the world, and people for whom Scotland would be paradise compared to their own countries. But laying out a welcome mat to the world is like opening the door of your house to everyone. That might make you feel that you're doing something special, but it's irresponsible towards your own family. How long before your own house is destroyed through your misplaced emotions? Folks, come back! Come back! I'm talking to you. Come back. We don't want to drive you off the streets of Falkirk. Come on, stay here. So every politician who effectively says that the rest of the world is welcome, and the Open Borders Brigade there who are taking down their banners in the face of the power of this rhetoric.
Yeah, that's right.
We have driven them, we're driving them off the streets here, it looks like. Listen, I'm going to say it again, every politician who effectively says that the rest of the world is welcome is letting down their own country. They're acting against their own country. They're betraying their own country. It's as if they're opening the door to their own house without regard for the consequences. And you know, we've always had this sort of person. Come back, this is a good bit. This is a good bit, come back. We've always had this kind of person, you know, this rhetoric is not new. In Britain since time immemorial, we've always had people who will put the interests of people from abroad before the interests of their own families. We've always had them, we always will. Charles Dickens even had a special character called Mrs. Jellyby in his novel Bleak House, who was more concerned about helping Africans in Africa than she was about helping the poor and needy in her own neighbourhood. And the Stand Up for Open Borders people are composed of lots of Mr. and Mrs. Jellybys who care more about what's happening in a foreign land or for foreign people rather than for the people of Falkirk and of Scotland and the United Kingdom. So what can we do in the face of these Mrs. Jellybys and Mr. Jellybys? The best that we can do is keep them out of political power, quite frankly, because once they're in such positions of power, they're very destructive, not only to their own interests, but to our interests and to the interests of our country. Got a lot more here. So we don't want the misplaced emotions to bring the house down upon us all. And all John Swinney and the SNP and the Greens can do is to double down on their mass immigration fetish. Doubling down is the only thing they know how to do, because they've never had to defend their position until now. They can't defend or debate their position because they've never had political voices speaking against them until now. They're used to getting away with their nonsense. All they have is word games about diversity and hope. And you know what? It's not enough and it's not working anymore. And if they're pushed on the question, they'll say that these numbers of people, the 90,000 in the year 2022 to 2023, the town the size of East Kilbride last year, they'll say it's necessary to increase, quote-unquote, our population. Well, it might help the population number on a piece of paper go up, but how is that actually helping anyone? Because our population is much more than just a number on a piece of paper. Our population is a description of a nation with an identity, which is made up of people with a long heritage here in Scotland, which includes ancestors who have suffered, who have survived, who have built up, who have achieved, who have fought, who have died for this country and who have passed this inheritance, known as Scotland and its people, to us for safekeeping. Folks, the so-called Scottish National Party must be rejected. The Greens, the Labours, Lib Dem and Conservatives who support mass immigration and fraudulent asylum seeking must be rejected. And next year we will have the chance to do that.
Yeah, just give me some.
Ladies and gentlemen, a message to the politicians: either get with our message of ending mass immigration and fraudulent asylum seeking, or you will get voted out. Thanks for listening. My name is Alistair McConnachie of Campaigning Group and think tank A Force for Good.